Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. So I was checking my statistics and it turns out that only one of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you don't want to be the one holdout, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. And our first story of the day is by Colin. There, tweet about that. Okay. So to preface, I used to fly a lot for work. And I've always tried to be as nice as possible to airline employees because it tends to get me a lot of free drinks, travel vouchers, and upgrades. I can only remember one other time complaining to the manager because no matter what the situation is, I don't want someone having a bad moment to lose their job. I had just gotten over bronchitis, no longer contagious, and had gone through my bottle of water before the flight took off. So I ask a flight attendant, we'll call her NA for nice attendant, for a glass of water. And she obliges because I sound like a geriatric man on his deathbed. Obviously those cups are small, so I drink it pretty fast. Once we're in the air, I press the flight attendant button and a different flight attendant comes up. We'll call her BA for which flight attendant? She says no, I have to wait for drink service to start. I roll my eyes and wait for the drink cart to roll out. I was seated near the back of the plane, so when they roll it up to the front, I get up to go ask for water. Nice attendant's at the front of the cart, so closer to the cockpit, and which attendant is at the back, close to me. I ask for a glass of water, nice attendant starts pouring me one, and which attendant, significantly older than nice attendant, shouts at me/nice attendant, "No, the fasten seatbelt light is still on and you need to return to your seat and wait your turn like everybody else." I say, "Ma'am, I'm sick." She says, "Return to your seat immediately." I'm kind of in disbelief, so I stand there for a few seconds. Everyone around us is completely bewildered. One guy eyes around and goes, "Can I have a water?" So nice attendant nervously hands it to him. He goes to hand it to me, and which attendant smacks it out of his hand, covering 3 or 4 people with water. At this point, everyone's irate at which attendant, and she threatens to call the pilot if we don't calm down, blah blah blah. So I go back to my seat and wait for the drink cart to make its way to me. When it does, nice attendant gives me 2 cups of water, which I promptly chug down. Once the 2 flight attendants are back in the rear of the plane and the seatbelt light goes off, I head back to ask for more and see if there's any way I could get a larger bottle of water. Which attendant says, "We have a 2-drink limit." I say, "Since when? I've been flying with you for 10 years. Nice attendant says, "I'm not sure that's our policy." And which attendant says, "Sir, you need to return to your seat or I'll have the police meet us at the gate." Me, finally losing my patience, say, "Lady, I'm sick. I need water." She says, "That's not my problem. Return to your seat immediately. It's a felony offense to not comply with a flight attendant's orders." I say, "Are you serious?" She says, "Completely." I say, "Okay, just a fair warning. I'm going to go tweet about this and it's not going to be good for you." The witch attendant snorts laughing and says, "Go ahead." Now, I have to note, I'm friends with a lot of national news journalists and entertainment industry folks that follow me on Twitter. That's the only time I've ever threatened someone with my Twitter. I only have a few thousand followers, but many of those followers have well over 100,000, some a few million, following them. So I return to my seat, type out a thread pretty much repeating everything I said above, then text a few friends with a very high follower count, asking them to retweet, prefacing that I would never ask them to retweet something of mine unless I really needed it and I was sick and needed water. So the tweet racks up a few thousand retweets in about 5 minutes. The airline direct messaged me apologizing, asking for my flight number and seat number. A couple minutes later, which attendant comes up, no one sitting in the 2 seats next to me, and tosses a large bottle of water at the empty seat and says, "There, tweet about that." To which I say, "Okay." I tweeted something like, "Update, thanks y'all." She threw a bottle of water at the seat next to me and said, "There, tweet about that." So I am. A few minutes later, nice attendant comes up to me, sounds like she's repeating a script and says, "On behalf of so-and-so airline, please accept our sincere apologies. If you'd like to follow me, I'd be happy to seat you in first class." So that was nice and, well, except it sucks because I normally chug down a lot of vodka when I'm flying. Flying gives me terrible anxiety and I'm sick, so I don't even get to enjoy the supply of endless free booze that comes with sitting in first. When we land, a representative from the airline gets on the plane, apologizes profusely, asks if I'd like to file an incident report, offers to refund the flight, and $500 in travel vouchers. So of course I say yes and tweet that they handled the situation well and apologize to their social media folks for making their night difficult. And the airline rep asks me if I'm willing to point out the folks that got water spilled on them, which I do. And they all got refunds as well. A week later, the airline calls to inform me that after an investigation, the flight attendant had been terminated. I still feel bad about making someone lose their job, but it wasn't just one incident. This lady was just on a mission to not let me have water. If anybody acted like this in any kind of customer-facing job, would you have any remorse about them losing their job? Let me know if you would in the comments down below. Because honestly, for me, I know I wouldn't. And our next story is by Rabbit Rathian. You can't call in sick this early / you can't call in sick this late / you have to come to work / you shouldn't have come to work. Background, I suffer from migraines, and unfortunately when I get one, they tend to last 3 to 4 days, leaving me completely incapacitated and unable to do anything more than lie in bed in my dark room and cry and vomit. This means that when I get one, I basically know straight away that I'm not going to be able to do anything for the next few days. I have a casual retail job in addition to other work, which I've had for almost 20 years across different stores. I was always the one who worked extra hard and stepped up to do extra shifts or stay back when someone else couldn't come in. But the department manager we had at the time of this story was a narcissist who got off on bullying staff, but really disliked me because I stood up for myself. The funniest part was that she loved to try to stand over people to intimidate them, but with me it failed miserably because I was about a half a foot taller than her. About 15 years ago, I started to get a migraine in the middle of the day before I was meant to have a shift starting at 5 p.m. Knowing I wouldn't be able to work the following day, I called the manager to let her know I wouldn't be able to come in, thinking it would give her plenty of notice to find a replacement. Her response, "You can't call in sick the day before your shift. You don't know that you'll still be sick tomorrow. If you're really sick tomorrow, then you can call in." Okay, fine. Went to bed, dosed up on prescription painkillers, woke up at 10 a.m. still feeling like a railroad spike had been driven through my eye socket, so I called up again, and the manager said, "Your shift doesn't start for another 7 hours, you're just trying to get out of work. You'll probably be fine by 5 o'clock, so I'm not going to replace you yet." Alright. Went back to bed and was so wiped out I didn't wake up till about 3:30. We're supposed to give 2 hours notice, so by this point it was half an hour too late. Or it would have been if I hadn't already given notice twice previously. Anyway, I was still in no shape to even get to work, let alone work, so I rang up for a third time and asked to speak to the department manager again. She was not happy. "You've only given me an hour and a half notice, that's not enough. You'd better show up to work." I say, "I've told you twice over the last 2 days that I wouldn't be able to come in." At this point, I literally had to stop and be sick, then said, "I can't come in. You've known that since yesterday." She says, "If you're not at work at 5 p.m., I'm going to make sure you don't get any extra shifts." This is when I decided to be maliciously compliant, though I hadn't heard of that term back then. I asked my mother to drive me to work. She asked if I was really that spiteful that I'd go to work just to make a point. And, well, yes, I am that spiteful. I clocked in and then went and sat in the fitting room under the bench instead of doing what I was supposed to be doing. My colleagues were horrified, asking what the heck I was doing there in that condition, and I told them that I tried calling in sick, but manager had threatened to stop giving me shifts if I didn't show up. Those colleagues were great. One brought me a glass of water, and another let me borrow her sunglasses so I could try to cut out some of the bright shop lights. After about half an hour, the manager came in, saw that I wasn't doing any work and bent down so she could scream in my face. And I leaned forward and threw up all over her shoes. At this point, I could have held it in until I was able to get a cleaning bucket out of the cupboard, but I decided to just let her have it instead. She went absolutely nuclear and started screaming even harder. "Why would you come to work like this? You should have stayed home." And I was feeling so sick and miserable, and her screeching was reverberating in my head and making the pain worse, so I started crying and ended up being sick again all over the floor. As she stormed off, my colleagues called the store manager over, who was immediately horrified that I was at work in that condition and called my mother to come and collect me and said that manager would be sternly talked to. Luckily, she was in hiding somewhere when my mother arrived, or she would have ripped her a new one. Because managers/HR will always look out for each other no matter how awful they are, the department manager didn't face any real consequences as far as I know. But after that, she pretty much pretended I didn't exist, which suited me right down to the ground. And not long afterwards, I was able to transfer to another store, so I didn't have to put up with her constantly throwing her toys out of the pram anymore. I think the worst thing about migraines is unless you've experienced them yourself, there's a lot of people who seem to downplay them or don't think they're that bad. Oftentimes they probably think, oh, it's just like a bad headache, it's fine, take some ibuprofen, you'll be fine. When they don't realize that even the smallest of triggers can make you just throw up. If you have bad migraines, a certain smell is enough to do it, let alone daylight and stuff like that. Our next story is by eGrant03. Double room it is. This isn't my story but my sister's. I saw a post about being bumped to first class and I thought of this. She was working as a desk clerk in training at a big hotel in our state. One weekend, they were overbooked due to a combination of a new booking system and a massive semi-annual religious conference that happens in April and October. A couple shows up on Friday and they were told about the snafu. You'd think someone in their 50s would know mistakes happen, but no. They kept yelling that they had a double room and that's what they were gonna get. My sister's manager is there, trying to get a word in edgewise, but they keep replying, double room. Eventually, she finds a way to excuse herself and speak with another group in line, a family with 2 kids about 10 years old. Speaking loud enough for the old couple to hear, they say, I know you've booked a double room, but there's been a real problem. Instead, we would like to take your double room and upgrade you to our presidential suite. It has 4 bedrooms, 2,000 square feet, and on-call 24-hour butler. Some other perks, the juice minibar was free, can't give away free alcohol in my state so the hotel has a juice version in addition, 1 meal a day for the party in the hotel restaurant ran by a Michelin-starred chef, and a private lap pool. The family was ecstatic. My sister relayed that their original room was likely a cheap internet special and all they could afford. The new room and the amenities that were offered was usually in the neighborhood of $1,500 a night. She took their basic room keys and had my sister show them where the private elevator opened to their suite was. She overheard the older couple complaining as she left and got full details upon returning. They said that they should have been offered the room and tried to raise an even bigger stick as they were there first. I tried several times, but you declined to let me finish. Here, handing them the basic keys the family had. These are the keys to your double room you wanted. Checkout is at 11. Can I assist you with anything else? They took their keys and stormed off. I mean, they got what they were asking for, both the room and the sweet justice. A few hours later, my sister laughed uncontrollably when she saw the butler bringing up free ice cream the size of a dinner plate to the room. Enjoy, kids. Honestly, it's for the best that the kids get to enjoy the presidential suite. Spoil the kids, screw these old entitled people. They got what they were asking for anyways. And our final story of the day is by Techspert Choking. You want to return everything? Okay, watch me scan every item. This was back when I worked as a manager at a grocery store. I worked customer service, but when it would get busy, I would run the register until it slowed down. One night, I had to take a few customers, and this one big guy comes in and was just in a really bad mood, huffing and puffing. He looked like he came straight out of Duck Dynasty. Beard, camo, hat, etc. We finished the transaction, and I'm starting to head back to the customer service when the guy looks at his root beer that he just bought and says, "Diet? I didn't want diet. You know what? Forget it. I don't want any of this crap anymore. Just take it all back." So now I'm struggling to figure out why this is 1, my fault, and 2, why he can't just switch it out for the regular soda. His order was huge, and normally in these situations, I would just put it through as a refund for whatever amount was on the receipt. But since this guy was being a real jerk, I decided to scan and return each item individually. Now he's getting more mad and cursing, saying to hurry up. I just responded, "Sorry man, it has to go through our system." Then he screams, "Give me the freaking money." So security heads up front. I just laughed and said, "That's not how it works." We then finish everything, he takes his money and leaves. About a week later, I'm running the register again and he jumps on my line. When he saw I was the one on the register, he tried to get out of the line, but all the other registers had huge lines. it's finally his turn and he says, "Hey man, I'm really sorry about the other day. I was having a bad day and I shouldn't have taken it out on you." I was a little surprised, not gonna lie, and I told him, "Hey man, crap happens, no worries. Now we're cool. He's always super nice to me when he comes in, and haven't had a problem since. I just wish every Karen and Ken acted like him in the end." I think the main difference between Karen and Ken and this guy is not only did this guy apologize and flip their behavior, but they didn't go too far. A problem with a lot of these Karens we see, they end up going too far. "Oh, OP hit me. Oh, OP assaulted me. Oh, OP said they're going to do this or that to me. Oh, I'm going to call the police and you're going to lose your job and this and that." There's just like no way you can come back from that and be like, "Hey man, so I was just having a bad day. We're cool, right?" That's the kind of thing where you pack up and move to a different city. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.